Now I'll have share a message from our board of directors.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Dennis Dake and I serve on your fellowship board of directors. I want to thank you all for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitors with us today. Please stay on after the service for our virtual coffee hour, where you may introduce yourself if you are comfortable and join in our conversation. Your UUFA Board of Directors voted unanimously to extend the closure of the fellowship building indefinitely. The board will continue to have periodic check-ins and stay tuned to the recommendations of the UUFA and community health experts. This shift allows us to develop further our engagement in virtual space rather than remaining focused on reopening timelines and procedures while our community is still at risk. We are committed to providing a safe environment for all who call our fellowship home. While it is hard to be apart for so long, we are reminded each Sunday that the building may be closed, but the fellowship is open. Please check the UUFA website for a complete schedule of various ways you can be connected throughout the week. So on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you to this sacred space. Here, we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you for being here.
We light this chime 3 times. The first to wake the chime, the second to open our minds, the third to open our hearts.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in. Let your love be a given, let us be drawn in. To imagine, to dream, to create, to redeem, for the sake of the living, let us be drawn in.
We light this chalice in the hope that we can bring more light and less heat to a warming world, to replace the energy of fossil fuels with the energy of our shared purpose.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in. Let your love be a given, let us be drawn in. To imagine, to dream, to create, to redeem, for the sake of the living, let us be drawn in.
I'm Dan Haug. Our opening words are by Mark Nepo from A Conversation with the Elements. We are so close to the earth that we often forget it is alive. And the language of aliveness is what we call nature. When we listen to nature, we are listening to the earth. Of course, such a conversation takes time because we are too small to readily grasp what earth has to say. The vast earth has carried us our whole lives. Can we thank it? It has held up and endured everything for thousands of years. Can we ask it how? It speaks with 1,000 tongues, none of which use words. Yet to build a relationship with that which holds up seems essential. But what can we hear? As the smog we've created prevents us from seeing the sky, the noise of the machinery we've created prevents us from hearing. The wind and the birds and the quiet teachers that have always been there. When I leave the mechanical hive, even briefly, I can tell that the horse runs to know its father, the wind. Just the other day, I took a walk where there is no pavement. I lost my way and followed two geese until I reached the end of my small logic. Go for a slow walk and let yourself be stopped by a stream or a patch of wind through an old tree. Pause at this whisper from the earth. Pause there and be still. Your stillness is a form of listening. Be still until you feel the largeness of what carries you. Our September play split is with Access, Assault Care Center, extending shelter and support. And now we will have a generosity moment from Fritz Keinert.
Okay, sorry, it took me a while to unmute here. So I'm Fritz Keinert, and this is my lovely wife, Ria, who unexpectedly returned from Oregon yesterday. She was fleeing the forest fires out there. She was planning to be out there a couple more weeks. So Ria and I joined the fellowship in the fall of 1988, shortly after moving to Ames. Ria grew up in a UU fellowship in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we talked about joining a congregation during our 3 years in Salt Lake City, but we never did. What finally brought us here was having children. We're not very religious, but we wanted our children to learn about Christianity and other religions as an important part of our culture. But also for us, the UU Fellowship has become a decades-long important part of our lives. Growing up in Germany, it was news to me that we were expected to contribute. In Germany, the National Church Organization takes care of that. In contrast, it did not take long for us to find out that contributing was expected in Ames. Our very first potluck turned into a fundraising session when Patron Bell brought out the plans for the building addition. I was also recruited to the finance committee within a few weeks. Over the years, I've been treasurer. I've been on the finance committee and the stewardship committee, among other things. So I know what it takes to keep the fellowship going. In this country, the government will not pay for public radio, churches, higher education, and many other things that Europeans take for granted. You have to step up yourself if you want these things to stay around. Public radio is certainly not shy about reminding you about that several times a day. There are many ways to contribute with money or with committee work, RE, and other tasks. I've learned that we all need to do our share to keep the fellowship strong, especially in these challenging times. I encourage you to be generous with your financial contributions for next year, and also to consider being on a committee or on the board. It's good to be part of a community. Thank you.
You can go to uufames.org/give. Now a song by Jim Scott, We Are the Earth.
We are the earth, we speak for creation, and we cannot stand by and watch its devastation. And we will not be bought, we will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong. We are the earth, we speak for creation, and we cannot stand by and watch its devastation. And we will not be bought, we will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth of threatened sky and waters. What legacy shall we leave to our sons and daughters? And we will not be bought, we will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth, and we will speak as one. Will not surrender the great glaciers to the sun. And we will not be bought, we will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth of forest, soil, and ocean. We will stand in our defense and devotion. And we will not be bought, we will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth, wounded but unbroken. We will rise when to power truth is spoken. And we will not be bought, we will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth, both holy and profane. Despite denials, this fragile planet we must sustain. And we will not be bought, we will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are the earth, diverse and yet united. We will keep on until the wrongs are righted. And we will not be bought, we will not be deceived. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are one, we are strong, we are the earth. We are more than just dwellers on this earth. We are the earth.
We'll now hear from Sally Hartman and Deb Scholerman from the UU Society of Coralville.
Okay, I will start. My name is Sally Hartman. I am a longtime member of the UU Society in Coralville, formerly in Iowa City. I am most involved in social justice in my church, including immigration issues, and also part of the Green Sanctuary team.
And I'm Deb Scholerman. I'm looking at my PowerPoint, so I don't know if you can see me or not. So all I can see is the PowerPoint, but I likewise am a longtime member of the Unitarian Universalist Society in Iowa City, Coralville, and involved with environmental work, immigration work, and now working with presenting and sharing the news of Drawdown.
I have a meditation to share. It's called Hieroglyphic Stairway by Drew Dellinger. It's 3:23 in the morning and I'm awake because my great-great-grandchildren won't let me sleep. My great-great-grandchildren ask me in dreams, what did you do when the planet was plundered? What did you do when the earth was unraveling? Surely you did something when the seasons started failing, when the animals and reptiles and birds were all dying. Did you fill the streets with protest when democracy was stolen? What did you do once you knew? Thank you for joining us this morning. Good morning. We're looking at the reality of our times and a path forward together. Today, we're facing a pandemic, protests over racial oppression, climate fires, and in our own yards, the aftermath of a derecho. These events change our world drastically and unexpectedly. At the same time, we are faced with another crisis, the climate crisis, which is getting less news these days. The magnitude and urgency of the climate crisis problem can lead to hopelessness and doubt that one person can do anything to address the enormity of it all. Our goal for this program this morning is to move us into a more hopeful perspective on climate change, one focused on solutions. We are here to share with you a brief overview of Project Drawdown. We will introduce the ideas that there is a very real possibility that global warming can be reversed and that you have an important role to play in that process. We are here as volunteers with an organization called Pachamama Alliance. The word Pachamama is an indigenous word meaning Mother Earth and includes earth, sky, and all species. The Pachamama Alliance is partnering with Project Drawdown to inspire people and communities around the world to work together on these solutions. A book called Project Drawdown, the most comprehensive plan ever proposed to reverse global warming, is focused on a scientifically based plan to reverse global warming. You will hear the editor of this book, Paul Hawken, later. The 100 solutions identified in the book Project Drawdown address and rank order solutions to the energy we use, the food we eat, the cities we live in, and much more. Today, you will see how the Drawdown plan offers accessible possibilities for us as individuals and also collectively. Inspired by the indigenous people of the Amazon rainforest, the Pachamama Alliance's practice before any gathering is to acknowledge in gratitude the earth and all the life that sustains us. Join me in a short meditation. I invite you to take a moment to connect with your own heart. Please close your eyes if you're comfortable doing that, and take a couple of deep breaths. Notice each inhale and exhale, which we often take for granted. Allow yourself to feel your body on the chair, your feet on the floor. Anticipate the gravity, appreciate the gravity that connects you to the earth, which holds us all and unites us as living things. We invite you to rest in the gift of this time, the gift of each other, and the gift of the beautiful earth that sustains all life and us. May we be instruments of healing in the brokenness of all aspects of our world and life together. We live in gratitude and openness to the gift of this time. Please take another deep breath and open your eyes. Thank you. So, Deb, can you put slide 2 up, or slide 3 up, I mean?
Is it there?
No.
I'm seeing it on my screen.
Okay, I think you need to share your screen.
Deb, hit
I did that. Okay,
hit escape and
Okay,
then go through Zoom first.
Okay, just a second. See, I thought it was up. My mistake.
No, everybody missed the beautiful picture of the waterfall.
We'll go through it super fast. Okay, sorry about that. You know what? You have to click it twice. I only clicked it once. That's my mistake.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so let's get
We'll go
started.
through these super fast. Okay, drawdown. Okay, now I can see me much better. Okay, introduction, becoming present.
That's what we were supposed to be looking at, but instead we were looking at all each other's fine faces.
There we go. All right.
Okay, so what is drawdown? The point in time when the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere peaks and begins to decline on a year-to-year basis. In 2012, Bill McKibben came out with a very dire report on global warming and its effects on destructive climate change. Overwhelmed, Paul Hawken asked 2 questions. Is it too late? And what should we be doing about it? He discovered that no one had ever scientifically answered those questions. So he gathered a team of 200 scientists to do the necessary research. This was the birth of Project Drawdown. Over a 5-year process, they came up with scientifically based solutions to reverse global warming. They identified the top 80 solutions that, if scaled over 30 years, could reverse global warming by 2050. All are currently existing technologies and practices. The book Drawdown was published in April 2017. It came out of this scientific work. It was acknowledged as the #1 best-selling environmental book of the year. Today, we take a look at the comprehensive plan that Project Drawdown offers to reverse global warming and see how we might engage in this work. The key is that every solution contributes benefits toward a sustainable, just, and healthy world, and that we each have an important part to play. We will start by sharing this short video by Catherine Wilkinson, who is the Vice President of Communication and Engagement for Project Drawdown. This is
Here is a mosaic of the 100 solutions to reverse global warming by 2050 from Project Drawdown. We'll go into detail on a few of these in just a minute or two, but this kind of can give you a sense and an image of the broad scope of the solutions being offered. Okay. We want to say just a bit what's covered in the book. Each solution has its ranking in terms of impact in reducing carbon. This is number 33. How much CO2 is reduced, the net cost of the solution, and the net savings for the solution. The amount of emissions reduced is expressed in gigatons, which is 1 billion tons, or the weight of 100 million elephants. I'm going to read this slide because it's small. This is a picture of a Tarahumara woman in Quechua, Mexico, in her home with a single LED lantern. Imagine your house without lighting at night. Now imagine the blessing of even a single LED lantern, if used 5 hours a night, One bulb should last 27 years, making it the least expensive form of illumination on the planet. The solution LED lighting we hear about a lot because it's easy for us to go, relatively easy to go get LED bulbs and switch out the lights in our home. An LED light uses 90% less energy than an incandescent bulb, half the light of a CFL, and without the toxic mercury. LEDs last longer. The impact would be great. One of the top 20 solutions, 8 of them directly relate to the food sector. So the decisions we make every day on the food that we produce, purchase, and consume is perhaps one of the single most important steps an individual can take. Changing our eating habits can have a big impact. Reduced food waste is ranked the 3rd solution. Sadly, a third of the food produced and grown in the United States does not make it from farm or factory to fork. Have you ever seen a crooked carrot? Maybe if you grow your own, but not in a grocery store. Vegetables on commercial farms are sorted to conform to quality standards, and food waste is the result. Solution number 4 is a plant-rich diet, eating less meat and more plant-based foods. Regenerative agriculture is ranked number 11. These practices restore degraded land. They include no-till, diverse cover crops, minimal pesticides or synthetic fertilizers, and crop rotations, all of which can be augmented by managed grazing. The goal is to continually improve and regenerate the health of the soil by restoring its carbon content, which in turn improves plant health, nutrition, and productivity. Composting is ranked number 60, which seems low on the list, but as Paul Hawkins says, every solution is critical if we are to reverse global warming. Many of us, I'm sure, have composting in our own backyards. Women and girls, educating and family planning are listed as solutions number 6, ranked as solutions 6 and 7. These 2 solutions combined, empowering girls and women, represent the number 1 solution to global warming. As Paul Hawkins has said, who knew? It's not a solar panel, it's a woman. You can see that each of these solutions offers the potential to reduce 60 billion tons, or 60 gigatons, of carbon dioxide. Take that times 2, that's 120 billion tons. Telepresence, changing the way we work, is also important, and we've certainly all gotten used to doing Zoom gatherings in the last 6 months. This pandemic has shown that it can be done. As you can see, this solution can reduce carbon dioxide by 2 billion tons, which is less than what we saw in other examples. But remember, there are no small solutions. We need them all. Every solution has a positive impact. Here's a finding that stands out. The net savings to the world of doing all of these solutions by 2050 would be $74 trillion. Drawing down does not cost us. It will save us large amounts of money. Here's on the right of the screen, you see the top 80 solutions that have been documented in the book. And this handout is available to you digitally. We sent that yesterday, so you can print this off if you want and look at it. There's different sectors with different solutions. There's somebody for everyone to engage in. Some solutions might be familiar to you and you might already be doing them. Some may be completely unfamiliar. This list is to stimulate your thinking, expand your sense of what is already happening, and invite you to consider how you might engage in action. Sally?
Yeah, so I muted myself and forgot. Apologize. So we are going to see a video of Paul Hawken, and he's been interviewed because his idea is that global warming solutions can solve many problems. So for those of you who don't know him, Paul Hawken is an environmentalist, entrepreneur, renowned author, and activist dedicated to environmental sustainability. What we're about to watch is an excerpt from an interview that Paul Hawken gave to the Pachamama Alliance a few days before the book was released.
If you look at the solutions in Project Drawdown, except for 2 or 3 of them, we would want to do every single one of those solutions, regardless of whether you understand climate science, whether it's warming or whether it's not, or whether there's more CO2 up there or it's having an effect, because they have so many cascading beneficial impacts and effects on human health, on security, on jobs, on economic well-being, on peace. The list goes on and on and on. We need all of it, and we need to honor all of each other. And so when somebody looks at that list, it's what resonates with them. Everybody could probably resonate with food waste, just unconsciousness about purchasing, consumption. Okay, so where do they make sense to you? Where do they make sense to your community? Where do they make sense to your village, or to your town, or to your company, or to your city, or to your state, or your province, or your farm, or your grassland, or your cows? It depends on who you are, where you are, your culture. And in that way, you know what is going to be where you can actually make a difference and accelerate the uptake of a given practice or technique or technology, rather than saying, therefore, you should do this. I have no idea what anybody should do. I know that people know what they should do when they read and understand something that makes sense to them. So the solutions to reversing global warming are the solutions to many things. They engender economic and ecological regeneration. In other words, they bring more life back to people, place, planet, animals, diversity, forests, oceans, fisheries, you name it. And they do it in such a way that actually people benefit. That is, it's not over there and you stay poor over here. It actually brings those two together, those who lack and the carnage, the destruction that's being visited upon our living systems, both up in the air, in the atmosphere, all the way down to the bottom of the ocean. There has been a silver bullet mentality in the climate movement, as if there was some magical solution, that would solve it all, or pretty much all of it. And there still is that mindset. The real game changer are people and communities and human beings. Those are the game changers, because it's our game. We created it. We're the only ones that can change it. Technology can't change the game. So when we went out, we had the same question I think everyone has, which is, well, what should I do? What should we do? What we do know, given the science, is that the odds are really long. And my attitude is, let's take them. Cool. I like long odds. It's very motivating. And you just accept them. It's not a matter of saying, well, I want even odds or better odds. No, they're just odds. And to me, it's a question of whether it's game over or game on. This is a game on moment as opposed to a game over moment. For game changers, there's a quote in the book, and it says, the one thing we haven't looked at is our mind. It's our thinking. Our thinking caused it. And when you change your thinking, it's a completely different world. You see a completely different world. And part of that is to understand that there is possibility in a way that is grounded, science-based, practical, doable right now. The purpose of the book is, at the end of it, I hope that the reader understands that if we're going to solve this civilizational crisis, we have to hold hands and collaborate. And to do so, we have to actually listen to those people who deny, people who don't believe, quote, quote, to people who think the science says something else. And that is how we create a change, not by dividing, not by polarizing, not by polemics, not by anything that it says that others are other. You know, in other words, that you're other, you're not as good, as well, as important, as meaningful, as contributing as these people over here. And whether you're bent towards the activist side or the research side or the amelioration side or the attending to suffering side, I mean, there's so many different ways, you know, you can, you know, reach out to this world. It doesn't make any difference. We need them all. Even those who deny the science, we shouldn't really demonize or criticize them. They're doing the best they can. They are. Everyone's doing the best they can. We can sit back and say, you're not doing well enough or good enough, or that's really inappropriate. That's your judgment. That's your mind. But the fact is, they are doing the best they can. And when we get off of our sort of, you know, position of being, knowing more, being better, and seeing them as lesser, then we can actually hear what they're saying. And it's really important, if we're going to make this change, that we listen. Is global warming happening to us or for us? Because if it's happening to you, you're the victim, you're the object, you got born at the wrong time, short end of the stick, not fair, you want to sue Exxon, you want to make somebody wrong, you want to demonize, you want to blame somebody else for how you feel, what's happening. It's not a great place to live or be or think or create. And if it happens for you, if global warming happenings for us, what does that mean? First of all, it means that it's beautiful feedback. It's feedback. If without feedback, we really suffer and get stupid at least. And not only is it great feedback, but it tells us what to do. It feeds our imagination, it feeds creativity, it feeds innovation, and it feeds a meaningful life. And you couldn't have a more meaningful life than to take on the greatest crisis human civilization has ever faced. And it's like, here, I have a gift for you. What is it? It's this, you know, civilizational crisis. You know, you came just at the right time. And we know what to do. That's the most important. We do know what to do. And this idea that, you know, that the media keeps putting in our face, you know, is that, you know, that the 7 deadly sins are preeminent now and rule the world, and that's not true. We just are blinded to it by what we read and see. And this is about changing who we are, how we think, how we speak, how we talk to each other, how we act. And I can't think of anything that would give more meaning to a person's life, you know, than global warming.
So we're going to summarize what was the purpose of global warming. Number one, it offers a coherent plan of action by everyone at every level of society around the world. It offers, number two, a message of hope. If we work together on these solutions, we can reverse global warming. 3, the environmental movement has been focused on problems for decades, and this often paralyzes people or is so overwhelming that it feeds denial and stops people from being able to take action. And number 4, drawdown is only possible if this is a collective effort, with each person, school, town, city, university, business, nonprofit, library, fellowship, working on whatever solutions are within their reach. We are now going to see a video of Will Grant, an environmentalist, and he's going to talk about 4 levels of action. The 4 levels, oops.
Here he is.
In terms of a lot of social change, and especially in relationship to the environment, I think of what I call the 4 levels of action. The first is individual action. The second is action with my friends and family, the folks I'm directly connected to. The third is community and local institutions. And the fourth is the economy and policy change and changing laws. And so, in the environment, level 1 is, I recycle, I use less, I drive less. Level 2 is I get me and my family to do that. And maybe I put solar panels on my roof. And maybe I join a community supported agriculture, a CSA. Level 3 is that's when I start to do things like change the way the schools that I'm connected to, right? The way that I change my workplace, that maybe I organize in my town, right? To start moving towards a community solar array, or that I start to, I go into the industries that I work in and I make changes. And the idea for level 3 for me is the place where it's at the level of institution and groups, but where I'm still known as a person. And so the example, and the other model that I give for level 3 is, if I can get in touch with a person who's in charge within about a week and get a meeting, that's what I would consider to be about level 3. Like with some work, I can get a brief meeting with the mayor of my town, right? And then level 4 is, like I say, policy. It's change the law. It's write your congressperson. It's boycott this product. And the environmental movement, I think in a lot of ways, has given the message that's been at level 1 and level 4, right? Change individual actions, or sign this petition, lobby this person, right? And the thing is, I think our greatest impact is actually at level 2 and level 3, and especially level 3. And the reason that I say that is, if I change a local institution or something that I'm involved in, I'm not just impacting my life, I'm impacting the lives of hundreds or maybe thousands of people. I'm also changing an institution, and then other institutions can take a look at that and take the model for that change. So an example is, like say I get the local school to put solar panels on their roofs. I can actually get that done. That's a project that I can see through beginning to end in a year or 2. And I can talk to all the people who are involved in it, and I can figure out the economics of that, like how much would it save and how much would it work and what would the cost be. I can organize and create a coalition to get it done, and I can do this part-time. I don't have to do this full-time. But the conversation that I have, that I get to generate at the school, is a big piece of the change, right? That the conversation with the principals and with the students and with the PTA is as useful as the change itself. And we're getting into this idea of, oh, we could do something about this. And then when the solar panels go up, then that means all of the other schools in the neighborhood or in my city have to go, why don't we have solar panels? I mean, this school did it. And so that's a level of change that I think that we ought to be focusing on. And I think specifically with Drawdown, like there's these 100 solutions that are named in Drawdown. And the question is, how are they going to be implemented? But one of the things that the project did is they looked at projects that were happening at what I've heard Paul Hawkins call from the middle out, not just from the grassroots up, not just from the top down, but from most of those changes were organized by people working at level 3. That it was farms figuring out how to change their farms and change their relationship to the market. It was, solar panels started very much at the municipal level. Doing environmental regeneration and afforestation, like there are large scale national policies that do that, but a lot of it is local folks in a community who have a connection to a particular piece of land that has said, let's replant this forest or let's regenerate this river, right? And so the implementation of Drawdown in a lot of ways is going to be at level 3. And that's where the momentum gets changed, because then it creates models for change and the sense that people see the possibilities of doing it. It's also a level at which a lot of people can participate. And we do not have to wait for anyone. We don't have to wait for Congress. We don't have to wait for a company like Kmart, or Walmart to change what they're doing. We don't have to do that, right? We can change it at the level of the institution. And that's where I think the momentum is going to be implemented.
So again, quickly, Sally, I'll go ahead and do this. The 4 levels that Will refers to, which I think is real exciting, is individual, family, community, local institutions, and I think a lot of communities are starting to work at level 3, and that's where we're seeing some change. And then of course, law, policy change, and the economy. So what's next for you? We would encourage you to learn more about Project Drawdown. You can go to their website. You can get into action on a solution, which I think your congregation is already doing. Sally and I and 2 others from our congregation are planning to sponsor a 4-session Pachamama Alliance Drawdown Solutions, which of course will be on Zoom. And it's a way for groups to figure out what can we do locally. So let us know if you're interested in being part of that program. We will get you that information. Part of the intention of this program is to encourage a sense of community among Unitarians who are drawn to this work. So it's not up to Paul Hawken or Pachamama Alliance or any other group. It is up to us. This is a global collective effort. All of these solutions are already happening. Each one of us can be part of making a real impact toward reversing global warming. We're in this together as a human family, as part of the web of life on this beautiful earth. Our 7th principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part, asks us to care for earth and all life. This vision and work is grounded in our deep knowing that all life and we are connected. So here's some closing thoughts from Catherine Wilkinson's TED Talk.
It's game on. This is the energy of activated collective hope that can rewrite history. Are you ready to explore what part you can play in creating a new story about our future? If we each do what's within our reach, we add our energy to the growing global movement to save planet Earth. We're going to share our emails. And I want to thank you again for being a part of this program. You can share your email address with us in the chat, or send us an email and we can send you any follow-up messages and let you know more about what we're going to do in the future. On a related note, we want to get out the vote because it will possibly be level 4, but that's a hopeful thought. So I will put in the chat a connection to the Iowa UU Witness and Advocacy Network website that you can click to join a conference that's at 1:30 today on getting out the vote, saving our democracy. The guest speaker the keynote is, his name is Damante Stagner. He is from Iowa ACLU. And now I'd like to share a quote from Mary Oliver. I would say that there exists 1,000 unbreakable links between each of us and everything else, and that our dignity and our chances are one. The farthest star and the mud at our feet are a family, and there is no decency or sense in honoring one thing or a few things and then closing the list. The pine tree, the leopard, the Platte River, and ourselves, we are at risk together, or we are on our way to a sustainable world together. We are each other's destiny. We appreciate your joining us.